My name is Logan and I'm 19 years old just trying to figure life out. I live with my father. Thomas is an architect that's always busy with work, caught up in projects. I lost my mother when I was young. So for a long time it was just me and my dad. That was until a few years ago when he remarried. Her name is Amelia. She's nothing like the stepmom I imagined. She's young, smart, and she feels more like a mom, but lately things have gotten complicated. Let me tell you a booth. David changed everything. Make sure to subscribe to my channel so I can continue bringing you more fascinating true stories like this one, and don't forget to watch this video till the end because this story is going to be incredibly interesting. It all started like any other quiet afternoon. My dad was away for work and Amelia was out running errands, leaving me at home by myself. I don't mind being alone, I'm used to it by now. I spent the afternoon in my room just lounging around and looking at my phone. The house was so peaceful. With no noise at all. I had just gotten out off shower, still damp, and was lying on my bed absorbed in my phone. It was quiet, too quiet. The house seemed still, almost unnervingly so. I shook off the feeling but couldn't ignore it. That's when he heard a soft knock on my door. I wasn't expecting anyone. My heart skipped a beat. My first instinct was to put my shirt on, but I hesitated. Who would be at the door? Before I could move, the door cracked open. It was Amelia standing in the doorway. Her eyes were locked on mine in a way I hadn't seen before. She was casually dressed in a light sweater and jeans. Her dark hair hung loosely around her shoulders. She looked unsure, like she was waiting for something. I didn't know what to do. I was caught completely off guard. Sorry, she said softly, her voice gentle but carrying AITA tension. I hadn't noticed that bear. I didn't mean to interrupt. Ignorant the way her gaze linked. Just a second too long. It was like she was waiting for something, but I wasn't sure what. On evening after dinner, my dad was working late. I was sitting on the couch flipping through the channels when Amelia walked into the room. She was wearing a loose sweater and leggings, her hair tied back in a simple ponytail. She looked different, more distant, but also somehow more attractive. Hey, she said, sitting down beside me on the couch. Mind if I join you? My heart raced, but I tried to stay calm. No, of course not, I replied, me voice giving away my nervousness. She sat close, her shoulder brushing mine. I could feel the warmth of her body, and I had to force myself not to think about it. Moment in my room, we sat in silence for a while, but the air between us was sheavy, filled with unsaid things. I could feel her presence more than I could focus on the TV. Then she spoke softly. About the other day. I stiffened. I wasn't sure if I was ready for this conversation. Amelia, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I don't know what happened. I don't know why we interrupted. Her hand brushing mine. The touch was electric. Like a spark in the air. She didn't pull away. Her fingers gently traced the lines of my hand. No, it's complicated, she whispered, very audible, but I can't stop thinking about it, about you, Logan. My heart was racing, my ears ringing. I had never heard her say anything like that before. It felt like time had stopped, leaving just two of us. Looked at her, and for the first time, I saw the vulnerability in her eyes. She was just as conflicted as I was, nay more, but there was something else, a deep yearning, a desire that was impossible to near. Amelia, I said, my voice shaky. I don't know what to do. I don't know what this is, but I can't stop thinking about you either. She leaned in her lips, almost brushing my ear. We can't keep pretending this isn't happening, she whispered calmly. I didn't know how to respond. I wanted to pull away to tell her it was wrong, but the truth was, I didn't want to deny the way I felt before I could say anything. She closed that gap between us, kissing me gently at first. It was the softest, most tentative kiss I'd ever had. I froze, my entire body still. The world seemed to fade as I kissed her back. My hands moved to her waist, pulling her closer. The kiss deepened, the tension between us crackling in the air. Her lips were warm and soft, and I felt something I couldn't name, a deep longing to be closer to her, to lose myself in them. But just as quickly, she pulled back, her eyes wide with panic. We can't do this, Logan, she whispered. It's wrong. I didn't know what to say. A part of me knew she was right, but another part didn't care. All I knew was I couldn't stop wanting her. Amelia, I said, my voice low. I don't care, I just need you. She looked at me, her gaze softening, but then she looked away, regret written on her face. I can't, she said, trembling. I can't do this to your dad, to you. I understood, but it didn't make it any easier. It went to her more than anything, but the consequences of crossing that line were too much to bear. She quickly stood up, running a hand through her hair in frustration. We need to stop, she said firmly. This can't happen again. And just like that, she was gone, leaving me in the quiet living room. My heart raced, my mind spinning from everything that had just happened. The silence felt suffocating. Is that they're completely still trying to process everything that had just happened. Part of me wanted to follow Amelia to talk to her, but I knew it was a bad idea. I couldn't stop thinking about That kiss, the way she felt in my arms, the warmth of her body against mine, it was as if I was addicted to that feeling, but at the same time, I couldn't ignore the guilt creeping in. I had always looked up to my dad, trusted him, and now here I was about to betray him in the worst way possible. I tried to distract myself, but it was useless. Every time I saw Amelia, I felt that same pull, that same connection. It wasn't just physical, it felt deeper, like something I couldn't escape. It was as if every part of me was drawn to her, even though I knew it was wrong. A few days later, I found myself in the kitchen, making breakfast. The house was quiet, the only sound the sizzle of bacon cooking in the oven. I hadn't seen Amelia yet, but I knew she'd be up. See, me heart raced just thinking about her. It tried to push the thoughts out of my mind, but they wouldn't go away. The memory of our kiss, the way I felt when she was near, it was overwhelming. Just as I was finishing setting the plates on the table, I heard footsteps behind me. I turned around to find Amelia standing in the doorway. Her dark hair was loose around her shoulders, and she was dressed casually in a blouse and jeans. To me, thought she might as well have been wearing a dress made of fire. "Good morning," she said, her voice soft, but there was an underlying tension in it that matched how I was feeling inside. "Good morning," I replied, trying to sound calm even though my heart was pounding in my chest. She stepped closer, her eyes briefly glancing at the food on the bowl before looking back at me. There was a moment of silence, a heavy pause in the air, then she spoke. "Again, you've been avoiding me," she said, her tone barely a whisper. It wasn't a question, but more like an accusation. I rose. Had it been that obvious? Was I really avoiding Harriam? "Not avoiding you," I stammered, but deep down I knew I was. It was hard to face her after everything that had happened, but the truth was every part of me wanted to reach out to her, to feel that connection again. She took a step closer, and I could smell her perfume, a soft mix of jasmine. It made my head spin. "You know, this isn't right," she whispered, her voice barely audible. "We can't keep doing this." "Logan," I wanted to respond, to tell her that I couldn't stop how I felt, that I didn't want to fight it anymore, but instead, I just stood there frozen, my heart torn between what was right and what I wanted more than anything. "I don't know how to stop," I said, my voice barely above a whisper. The words slipped out before I could stop them. Amelia's expression softened, but there was a sadness in her eyes that I hadn't seen before. She reached out her hand, brushing lightly against my arm. The touch sent a wave of emotion through me. "You have to stop, Logan," she said quietly, her eyes arcing mine. "This isn't just about you, it's about your dad too. It's about everything we've built. Do you really want to destroy that?" Her words hit my heart like a punch to the gut. For the first time, I realized what was at stake. Me, Dad, the man who had always been there for me, who had worked so hard for us. How could I betray him like this? But event than the pull I felt toward Amelia didn't fade. It was still there, urging me to give in. I could feel the battle arising inside me, between my heart and my conscience. "I don't know if I can," my voice bitter. "I don't know how to stop feeling this way about you," Amelia sighed deeply, her hand falling to her side. "You have to, for your sake, for mine, and for your dad." Her words were like a cold shower, waking me up to the reality of what I was doing. I couldn't keep chasing something that was never meant to be. I couldn't keep risking everything for a fleeting moment of passion. "I don't want to hurt anyone," I said, my voice shaking with emotion. "I just don't know what to do anymore." "You don't have to do anything," Amelia replied softly. "Just let it go. We have to let it go." Her words cut through tension that had been hanging in the air, and I finally understood. I was on the verge of making a decision that could tear everything apart. I couldn't do that, not to my dad, not to her, and not to myself. With a heavy heart, I nodded. Key whispered, "We'll stop. We have to stop." But as I turned back to face her, the look in her eyes told me that we both knew this wasn't over. The feeling shan't disappeared. The temptation would still be there, waiting for us to slip. But in that moment, I knew that if we didn't stop now, we would never be able to fix the mess we were about to create, and I wasn't ready to live with that kind of regret.